This is the Retirement Key Podcast with Joshua Barbin, certified financial planner of Abish Financial Services.
Welcome back to the Retirement Key. I am Casey, and as always, I am happy to be joined by my buddy, certified financial planner Joshua Barbin from Abish Financial Services. Josh, it's always great to see you.
Nice to see you too, Casey. Always good to see you as well.
Always a good time. I'm excited to chat with you today because we're going to dive into a topic that's been generating a lot of buzz for a while now, and with that, also a lot of questions, and that's cryptocurrency. More specifically, we're going to chat about crypto and its role in retirement. This is such a dynamic and often misunderstood area, so we're going to break it down over the course of 2 episodes, actually, which I'm really excited to do. But before we jump in, quick reminder to all our listeners, if you're ever looking for more resources or how to get connected with us, you can head to the retirementkey.com, and it has got all the info you need right there. That's theretirementkey.com. Now, JB, I want to start with the basics. For listeners who might be completely new to crypto, or maybe they've only heard snippets, could you break down what cryptocurrency is in simple terms and explain how it differs from traditional investments like stocks or bonds? I think a lot of people hear the word crypto and immediately they think, that's way too complicated for me. So a clear explanation, I think, would be an incredibly helpful place to start.
Yeah, sure. So I think the main use case of cryptocurrency is to be able to move money around the globe neutrally. So without censorship and without a counterparty. That's the unique feature. You want to get into technicals. I mean, Bitcoin is kind of a large Excel spreadsheet shared across millions of computers across the globe. And you have an account, somebody else has an account, and it keeps track of when money moves, you know, and it makes sure that nobody can change the spreadsheet without everybody agreeing to that change. So I think that's the highest level of like what is cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or things like that. It's pretty much an Excel spreadsheet, but the unique feature about it is that nobody can really stop it. Nobody can control it. You can participate into it, but you can't really, no government or country or anything like that can like control Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency like that.
Got it. Okay. Now, despite its complexities, there's definitely a lot of excitement also around cryptocurrency. So what do you think is driving this buzz right now? What are the main reasons that people are considering crypto as an investment, especially for those who are focused on long-term goals like retirement? We often hear stories of incredible gains. So I imagine that's a big part of crypto's appeal.
Yeah, I think people are very excited about cryptocurrency, and the main reason why is because of the current administration has taken a much more proactive and positive approach to cryptocurrency, where the previous administration was a lot more hesitant, cautious, and really against it. I mean, they had a legitimate war on crypto in the previous administration. This administration, I mean, you have President Trump going to Bitcoin 2024 and J.D. Vance at 2025. So you have the current administration embracing Bitcoin. That's just in America. But I think that for me, when I evaluate the space and whether there's headwinds or tailwinds, I would say that probably is the biggest reason for excitement and potential tailwinds, that the United States government setting up their own reserves of Bitcoin and other cryptos, making public statements about it. So, and I think there's knock-on effects from that, which could reverberate throughout the entire American economy when it comes to crypto. So that's probably the most exciting thing happening right now in that space.
Yeah, sounds very exciting. But of course, JB, as with any investment, there are inherent risks. So let's talk about the volatility. What are the key risks associated with investing in crypto? And why is this important for somebody approaching or somebody that's already in retirement?
Yeah, volatility is very important to think about. You know, you do have your occasional person who gets involved in this space and they want to throw all their money at it. And it's usually not a good idea because they probably haven't lived yet through one of the crypto bear markets or Bitcoin, bear markets. And those can be very, very painful if you had 100% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. I mean, we've had 70% drawdowns before. So it can be extremely volatile. And the way that you might think about that as a retiree who thinks about a foot in the space is position size, because let's say I put 100% of my portfolio into it, then I could get whipped around 70%. But you say I put 1% of my portfolio in it, well, then I can only be whipped around 0.7% on the downside. Whatever that number is. I'm not exactly sure of the math there, but I'm just saying hypothetically, you can control some of that volatility with the amount of positioning that you're putting into something. So it's definitely something that people need to be aware of. There's a ton of risks in the space. So all these things need to be balanced when you think about it, and think about how it could work into a plan.
Yeah, very important to understand exactly what you're getting into, which makes me wonder, JB, about the professional perspective. So I wanted to ask you, how might a financial advisor typically view crypto? Is it seen as a legitimate asset class, or is it still considered more of a gamble by the industry?
Well, I think you'd probably find diverse opinions across many advisors, so we'll start there. But
yeah,
I would say that when something pretty big happened, I think last year with the Bitcoin ETF was the first of its kind, and then now you have Ethereum ETF as well. And these are vehicles in which you have a major institution like a Fidelity or BlackRock holding the Bitcoin within a vehicle and making it, what's this done? Especially for retirees, like to get Bitcoin was before so challenging. Like when I'm going to open a Coinbase account or something, do something like that, it just was almost inaccessible. By bringing these ETFs into the play, it now makes it, something that you could hold in a Schwab account or something like that, so that it's become, and then kind of backed by these large institutions, and they take care of the security of it and all those things. So it's brought it from the fringe into more of the mainstream. That's kind of working at the same time with our government, adding that to their reserves and really getting behind it as well. And then you probably see a third wave from corporations. You've seen it already where like corporate entities are actually going to be like holding it on their own balance sheets. So you kind of have a threefold convergence of it moving from what was like the internet world into mainstream financial systems and even into potentially the portfolio of retirees in some cases.
Well, now I imagine, JB, with something so new and rapidly changing, there are also a lot of misunderstandings out there. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the common misconceptions about crypto that you're hearing from your clients when they bring it up to you? Are there any certain myths or half-truths out there that you find yourself having to correct with your clients?
I wouldn't say that it's myths. I would say more, this is probably the number one objection. There's just nothing there, JB. There's nothing there. And I... Frankly, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it really is computer code. There's not much more than a bunch of ones and zeros on a computer. But I always kind of rebut that with, it's a computer code that today, if we just take Bitcoin, isolate it, is worth $2.5 trillion. And so there might not be a tangible something there, or there might not be a cash flow that you're used to there. But there is something there which is worth $2.5 trillion, and that's real money valued by the financial markets. They're saying this thing is worth $2.5 trillion today. The other thing is that there's probably never been any asset in the history of humanity that's grown with the rate of growth that we've seen in this, which is another reason. It's why you can't ignore it on some level. You might not have it, you might not want it, but you kind of can't ignore it because of that factor. So there's others as well. We don't have to go into all the misconceptions, or not. I wouldn't even call them misconceptions, but I would just say there are answers to some of those questions as well.
Got it. All right. Yeah, it's really crazy to think about when you break it down like that. Now, before I let you go, JB, let's talk about risk tolerance, which is always a key factor in any investment strategy. So could you give us a basic framework for thinking about our risk tolerance, particularly in the context of retirement planning? At what point might a very small allocation of crypto, if at all, make sense for a retirement-focused portfolio? Is there a scenario where it could make sense for somebody?
Well, I think the way that I like to frame it up is I like to kind of think about a portfolio in buckets. I like a safe piece of a portfolio, something that's secure, can produce income potentially. It's really solid, a base. I like something that's going to have growth with the market, something that's exposed to businesses and such. But I also want to have maybe a small piece, like you said, that's exposed to the future, that has an allocation in something like like a blockchain or an AI positioning. I think here's the other side of that question, Casey, that I might answer is to say, what's the cost of not having it?
Okay.
Like, what's the cost of missing out on potentially the next technological revolution? What would have been the cost of missing on the internet? You just said, I'm more tangible. I like dealing in physical reality. The internet's 20 years later, here we are. Everybody uses the internet. Doesn't matter how old or young you are, you use the internet. So I think about it like that. So in most cases, I think your question earlier about volatility, finding the allocation that's going to make sense for you, that it's not going to whip you around. You're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, if this doesn't become the future, then I can't retire. That's not the way you plan with this. But maybe as a retiree, just having a small allocation, maybe consider it your future bucket that's exposed to the future technological revolution.
Fantastic point, JB. This has been incredibly insightful. Thank you for breaking down crypto for our listeners and its role or its potential role in retirement planning. Now, real quick for our listeners who want to learn more from you or from Abish Financial, or they maybe want to schedule some time to sit down and have a conversation with you, JB, what's the best way for them to get in touch? What should they do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should. This is a topic amongst many others that it really helps to talk to somebody and talk it through. And the first step is to go to the retirementkey.com. And there you can begin the process of setting up an appointment, talking to me or one of the advisors here at Abish. And I think it would be a great first step.
Yes, one more time for you. That website is theretirementkey.com. Thank you again, JB. And thank you for tuning in to The Retirement Key. And remember, this was just part one of our series on crypto and retirement. So make sure you join us for part two, where we're going to dive even deeper into the practicalities and what the future might hold for crypto. You won't want to miss it. And we will see you there.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Key Podcast. To learn more about Abish Financial Services, visit theretirementkey.com. Abish Financial Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and the content of this communication has not been approved or verified by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or by any state securities authority. The information contained in this material is intended to provide general information about Abish Financial Wealth Management and its services. It is not intended to offer investment advice. Investment advice will only be given after a client engages our services by executing the appropriate investment services agreement. Information regarding investment products and services are provided solely to read about our investment philosophy and our strategies.